Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Paupergeddon 2024, where we are bringing you the best horror rock MTG festival in the world. And now joining me in the booth, we've got none other than Amma Parlo, straight off the Pauper panel. I dragged you in from outside, walking around. How are you finding Paupergeddon so far?
Fantastic. Everyone's just playing Pauper. There's like 300 people just playing like random events, mostly Pauper. There's some Modern Horizons free draft going on, which is fun. It's just really cool to see everyone really excited to play Pauper.
Yeah, well, and this is literally a gathering of Pauper enthusiasts. Over 1,000 people are going to be in the room, over 700 in the main event tomorrow. This is the warm-up event. This is the Italian Pauper League finals today, where players from all around Europe have been battling out in the local hubs of Pauper, and we're just taking everybody from those top 8s, giving them invites to play today, and they're going to battle it out until there is only one. Just like in Highlander, there can be one. There can only be one champion. They're going to call themselves the Pauper top player as they go into Paupergeddon this weekend. But more of that tomorrow when we kick off the main show. Today we've got a lot of Pauper action for you all. We're just getting our feature match sat down, ready to fire off. We don't exactly know what it is yet until we get down to it. When we get down to it, we'll talk about more about those decks and players. We're going to tap up the knowledge that Emma's got in her brain, because obviously she is on the Pauper panel. And I've said it to the last two people who have been in the booth with me, I think this is the most balanced format I've played in Magic the Gathering. It is so... You guys have nailed it on the head. It's very weird coming from powerful formats like Modern. It's just obviously had a big shake-up. Legacy, that's also been able to take advantage of those cards, even down to Standard and Pioneer. But coming into Pauper from I played it a little bit, and then I've come into this format in the last month. I love it. And enough that I've bought 3 decks in paper.
That's what I like to hear.
It's so cool to see. You've been walking around the tables all morning. Is there anything that's you've seen and you're like, hold on, I never thought that was even a deck, or I haven't seen that in 4 or 5 years? Anything?
I saw Elves.
We did.
We saw Elves earlier. That's a deck that's really fallen off just because you have stuff. You have all these cheap red sweepers. Playing some 1/1s is not that great anymore. But you could tell this person really loves Elves, and we'll just play Elves regardless of the current meta game, which is something that is really cool about Pauper. There's a lot of identity with decks, something you see in Legacy and Modern.
I was about to say, it's really basically like a Modern Legacy thing being used to it. Can we take that advantage of knowing our deck and knowing the format and adapting our pet deck to the format? Is that something we can do in Pauper, or is it sometimes you just, you're holding on to clutching straws at this point, or if you're playing Elves?
It depends on the deck, but if you love playing Elves or playing Slivers, that's another cool type. That's a cool
love some
Kindred
Slivers.
deck.
My favorite.
That's something you sometimes see. Sometimes that just if you get the sweeper that is the worst card in your deck, it happens. But you're happy. You're playing Pauper. You're having fun. It doesn't matter. You're gonna play some of your favorite cards.
Always having fun. I've never, even when I've lost games, I've had fun doing them. I've had some of the best games of Magic I've played in a very long time in this format. Obviously, I play an interactive deck a lot of the time.
Yes. What are you playing right now in Pauper, Will?
See, I'll cue that one up, chat. You're welcome. Oh, well, it's Poison Storm. I'll let you have it's this really cool deck where I get to infect my opponent without any creatures in my list. Now that's out of the system, ladies and gentlemen, and we're all good. We do have the chats up here in front of us. If you've got any questions that you want to ask Emma, I'm more than happy to throw them across to her. She'll give you our honest answer on it. Or just Paupergeddon in general, where there is so much more happening than just people playing Pauper. There's people bringing different foods from all around Europe that are the local cuisines, and everybody kind of shares that. This is very much a gathering side of Magic the Gathering tournament. This is a tournament put on by the players for the players. There's been its own, and I know you're excited about this, it's got its own beer. There's a Paupergeddon beer, especially brewed for this weekend.
There is an actual tournament tomorrow where you can win some Paupergeddon branded beer, and guess who's playing in that tomorrow?
It's like the first thing you told me. You're like, well, there's an event for beer, and I'm like,
I get to play Pauper and win beer. Sign me up.
I think that's the one we should be doing coverage of tomorrow, and every round I should have a beer. Just play Will versus Crate and see how I get bombed by round 10.
I want to see you play Poison Storm after a few of those.
You want to see me play Poison Storm? I play it like I'm drunk anyway. I'm getting word that we're going down to the table that the players are ready. So let's move straight down to that and see what we've got in our feature match. Looks like Grixis Affinity versus some Ponza. Ponza we saw round 1 when I was in the booth with Gavin. I haven't seen Grixis Affinity yet, at least not in paper being played. Talk to me about how this matchup normally plays out. Both players at 4-0.
It's an interesting matchup because Ponza likes to blow up lands. It has this very gruel mid-range pan where you're looking to stumble people on mana by blowing up their lands and then taking over with a huge threat. Grixis Affinity runs a lot of indestructible lands because they are a very prominent cycle in Pauper. So it'll be interesting to see how the Ponza player because of this, honestly.
Well, let's get straight into Modern Horizons 3 as we now see the Familiar coming down. Talk to me about this card and how much of an impact this is having on Pauper.
It's having a huge impact. When we looked at as the Pauper format panel, we look at all the commons that are coming in each set. Obviously, Cranial Ram was like the big red flag, which everyone knows about. That is pre-banned. Familiar was another one that we clocked on just because it's really good in these Grixis Affinity Shells. It's also seeing play in the Orzhov Blade decks, which is the Tithing Blade, Core Skyfisher, Glint Hawk.
Another deck that utilizes a lot of artifacts to its advantage.
Also runs Raven Inspector, which is the best card in Pauper as well. And
it's almost like they knew that you were in the booth. Like MH3 cards coming into clutch here. This is the first time I get to say it on paper. Sneaky Snacker is on the battlefield. So seeing 2 Modern Horizon cards now back to back. Well, obviously, it's a 4 mana spell usually, but we played it for 2 mana here because we have access to the untapped artifact lands. One of the more powerful things you can do in this format because realistically, that's a 2 mana untapped land in this deck against Ponza, and it doesn't look like we've got any ways of well, as soon as I spoke.
Here comes the Acid Moss. So the Ponza player is going to try to stumble the Affinity player on mana, especially on those artifact lands that don't have Indestructible, because there's a lot of Affinity spells. You have your Mirror Enforcers and your Frogmites, so obviously you want to reduce that count as much as possible. Another cool thing about Ponza, they also play some Modern Horizons 3 cards.
Yes, they do.
Thriving Crystallis, which is a bane currently of Modern Horizons 3 draft.
It's got the highest win rate, I believe.
It has the highest win rate of, I think it's just like any common printed, since they've pulled data for these events, which is really crazy to think about. It is
pretty powerful. One thing to know, with that Acid Moss, we were able to get the 1 black source off the battlefield. So now we're currently cut off black mana, just blue and red.
Here comes a Nickel Wellspring to draw a card. Love
a Nickel Wellspring. That's a card I didn't think I would see cast as much as I did when I came into Pauper. This is a real reliable card that's got so many utilizing effects. Either we're bouncing it or sacrificing it. It's always going to be to our advantage.
If there's one thing we love to do in Pauper, it's drawing a lot of cards.
Yeah, that's
and I mean a lot of cards.
That's just every blue mage, right? I like to kill my opponent with a handful of cards, with none left in my hand, but a lot in their hand. But some people like it the other way around.
Well, you have things like Forecast for Affinity as well. You've got stuff like Deadly Dispute, which makes you lots of treasure. You've got ways to gain lots of life. There is just so many passive ways to regenerate those resources just from playing artifacts. It's pretty free in most cases.
In quotes free.
In air quotes free here.
Am I right? Is this the island one or is this a mountain, a forest one?
This is the seat of the Synod from the Secret Lair. Tree of Tales does not really see much play in Pauper.
That's what I was thinking. I haven't seen much of it being played.
I remember playing Tree of Tales back when Affinity was 5 color and ATOG was legal, because this was pre-indestructible lands, so you had to play all of them, all of the Mirrodin lands, and it was mostly a 5 color deck. But yeah, you don't see Tree of Tales around, which is a shame. But yeah, so you got Sea of the Synod and you got 2 Great Furnaces in play, along with that Silver Bluff Bridge.
It looks like we shuffled our deck because we're 3 of a kind here. And
a lot of Eldrazi.
I feel at this point with Ponza, the idea is we have early accelerants to be able to destroy my opponent's land so they can't advance their board. But now looking at how it's gone, even through one land destruction spell that's happened, the board state looks kind of advantage to the Grixis Affinity list.
Well, you got some flyers here as well. The Sneaky Snacker and the Flyer and the Familiar are very evasive here. There is no reach on the battlefield right now, so you can just easily chip away some damage here. And the Ponza players is on 6 life.
I say Galvanic Blast is definitely a card in this format.
Absolutely, yep. So Galvanic Blast can go to face, and I have done it to face a few times. So that is a proactive way to play.
Here comes Lauren's Reveal. That's going to give us 3 more cards to our hand, and then the follow-up is going to be another Enforcer. Being able to cast a 4/4 for 0 mana, pretty good. No matter what format it is.
It is very good. Just being playing Forecast for
1 mana, 1 blue, draw 2.
It's also fine,
I like it when you do the Sneaky Snacker, when you sacrifice it, draw 2 cards, and because it's the 3rd card you've drawn for the turn, you get it back. Such incremental value.
Interestingly, we didn't really tag Sneaky Snacker as a card that would see Pauper play. It's one of those signpost commons for MH3 draft, and we're like, oh yeah, this card is cool to play in that limited format. And then you see Grixis Affinity adopting it. You see the Madness Burn decks that are shifting to Grixis with also Sneaky Snacker. And it's really interesting to see how...
Oh my word, sorry. Boarding Party cascades into the 4th copy.
Yep.
Classic.
4 of a kind. Yeah, it's just really interesting how, obviously, we, at the format panel, have a look at a lot of the cards, and some of them we might just miss. Like Fragrant Charm's another good example. That was one we kind of missed when, you know.
I suppose you missed on that one, being such a big fan of Fraven.
It doesn't make a clue token, which is my problem with it.
Yeah, I'm only interested if it makes clues, and that's going to be enough for game
Fraven
one.
in the name. It should make a clue token, but it's a really versatile card and something that, you know, is going to see a lot of play. And it's really cool how Modern Horizons 3 has not done anything busted. Sans.
But
Cranial
yeah,
Ram,
wait till
obviously.
Sunday when saying that. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of cards that have came out in Modern Horizons 3 that have just bumped everything up. Like Modern Horizons 3 has done for Modern. There's some nice gentle nudges. Like Ponza's like one of the most represented decks today, which is not something I would have said going into MH3 release week. I don't think anybody would.
Well, and I say, of course, it shows the power of just one card can change almost a whole deck, and then you were seeing that. Well, there's multiple cards in this Ponza deck, but they are a game down now. Did pick up the loss in that game, but we've got two more potentially if they can shore up this next one. Grixis Affinity. It's kind of tried and tested, and that's it.
It's
got
very
two more
resilient.
But let's have a little. Like, obviously, we don't have. In fact, we do have access to their deck list. They should be coming, but they're not here yet.
Yeah.
So let's just speculate what would be in the side. What sort of good cards are there for these Ponza decks to be bringing in against Grixis Affinity lists? I've got a semi list in front of me. So let's have a little look and the generic cards that are going across. I'm looking at Gorilla Shaman.
Gorilla Shaman's a good one.
Looks like a good one to me. That would be
That'd be
potentially
a
be able
really,
to come
really
in.
good one.
Deglammer?
Deglammers are coming in. That card's really great because it just forces the tuck as well. It doesn't.
Is Deglammer like it's got because it's artifact or enchantment? It can be utilized in so many different matchups. Is it always a 4 pretty much in Ponza list?
Mostly, yeah. Like Deglammer's risen up the more Affinity has been proficient. It's just a really versatile card, and you just need to have a lot of just ways to deal with artifacts and enchantments because artifacts are just so proficient in Pauper in general. It's just good to have those kind of answers.
So I'm having a little look at like a Grixis affinity list, and I'm looking.
Blue
It doesn't look like there's many cards I want to be bringing in here.
There's nothing too exciting here. Affinities already has a good matchup against Ponza, just because you have that evasiveness, and these indestructible lands, and you're just able to outvalue the Ponza player by just drawing cards, creating treasure, gaining lots of life.
Does Pauper in general have to like having some sort of evasion on a card or on a creature it's utilized more, it's higher valued, so to speak, as a creature than in other formats? Sometimes it's like, okay, it's got added little tail is flying, great, yeah, that's great. But like in this format, it's actually quite hard to deal with flyers.
It can be relevant in some cases, yeah. Stuff like Skyfisher and Glinhawk, yeah, they do things with permanents and artifacts, but they're also good win conditions that beat sticks in the air, and it's just something to keep in mind.
I have seen, I can't remember the name of the card. You might be able to tell me. It's a 1-drop. It's a 1/2 that taps, deals 1 damage to all flyers.
Good. It's.
I don't know. I can't remember the name of it.
They play it in Affinity. The name is escaping me just
but
now.
The more that we see,
Shaman.
Thank you. So the more that we see like these sort of decks come in, especially with Sneaky Snacker and now the refurbished Familiar, just being 2/1s. Is it a good time to start picking some of those up? Maybe pick some of those in our decks going forward.
A lot of Affinity players Grixis Affinity players over the last while tend to run like 1 to 2 between the 75. Sometimes you see like 2 in the main board and then 1 in the sideboard. Maybe we'll see it back. It might be a good meta call, but it obviously depends. So paper Pauper is a lot different to Magic Online Pauper. You see a lot of red decks on Magic Online Pauper because it's easy to grind out leagues and get.
Yeah, you get your 5 wins as quick as possible.
Wins as quick as possible. Like that makes sense. And plus, Godolphin Red is just like a strong deck to play in Pauper. Yeah.
Is it? So this is a good question. Like, is it a strong deck, or is it just a quick deck that if you come unprepared for? Because there's so many decks in the format that are like 2 to 3 colors. You don't have the fetch lands. You don't have the shock lands. You've got to rely on tapped dual lands in this format.
You basically run like mountains and great furnaces, and you're good.
That's what I mean. So you go quick. Is everyone, no matter what deck you play in Pauper, you've got to have that on your radar? Like someone's going to turn up with a fast red deck. If it's the madness deck, or if it's just the red deck, I've got to have some answer to it.
And then you got stuff like Bogles that's making a resurgence thanks to Modern Horizons. The Malevolent Rumble that. Just this really, really powerful. Just I'm able to look at get any permanent out of my deck from the top.
And it makes the Scion, as you were
And it
speaking
makes
about,
a
telling me.
Scion, which is really good against the Tywin Blade decks because you just want to avoid these edict effects, which is so backbreaking for Bogles. And you have stuff like Cartouche Solidarity, which, you know,
Generates the 1/1.
generates the 1/1 that protects the Bogle, and stuff like that.
Yeah, listen, I think it's such a good meta game call at the minute.
Yeah.
That's from my short snap of playing Pioneer for last.
Well, I'm going to play tomorrow.
Shout out to Pioneer. We'll see how you get on tomorrow. Like, see, I think that would be, as much as I would love to play Poison Storm, I think the meta game choice for me would have been Boggles and be like, who's got answers to it? If you don't have answers to it, I'm going to run you over. If you do have answers to it, well, some answers just to your answers for me have been printed. So potentially I can fight my way through that and just get large chunks of damage across the line super quickly. Because, you know, and for people that don't maybe know, maybe they're looking at Magic for the first time, this is their stream, or they're coming from Commander and think they'll pick up Paupers. And what is Boggles? Like, what's the concept of that deck and why are we calling it Boggles?
Yeah, so it's called Boggles because you have this really adorable creature called a Slippery Bogle. And the job is, it's a 1/1 for hexproof, and you're just looking to pile as many enchantments with as many keywords on it and turn sideways. It is an aggro deck that isn't in red. So you get to have cool things like give it lifelink, give it vigilance, give it trample, because rankles are common. That's a pretty resilient
It's a pretty
aura.
good one.
That's a pretty good one. And it's one thing I like about Bogles, it's not exciting. It's not like taxing on the brain or anything like that. But if you're new to Magic, it's a really good one to learn because it teaches you combat maths. It teaches you how to add things up. It teaches you what are your permanents. It gives you a good idea. It just gives you that routine of, here's my board state. Yeah, I have a 20/20 Boggle. It has trample. Deal with it. Like, masses of blockers.
It looks like we've taken a mulligan as this game kicks off. So Pons is down to 5 cards, but no, not a bad 5 cards. Turn 1 Elf, turn 2 into a Sprawls, into a Deglammer. Taking that turn 1 land that was tapped, of course, off the battlefield. So potentially trying to slow down this Grixis Affinity list.
Another cool thing about a lot of these these hate cards that don't destroy artifacts, they just like tuck them away. Revoke Existence was a good one that exiled an artifact, so it's like a 2-mana white spell that you can just use to blow up a land.
Here's the Chrysalis, the new card from MH3. So it's the 2/3 with Devoid. Make sure you don't target that with a blue elemental blast.
No, you can't do that.
When it comes along, it generates 2/0/1 Eldrazi Spawns, which can sacrifice 1 colorless mana. But more importantly, the extra text is one of these gets taken off the battlefield. You add a +1/+1 counter. So these can grow huge.
Common? Like,
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's like, how is this a common in limited?
And it only gets better in multiples as well. So here we see the grow. We'll see if we can get that dice changed so it's a bit more readable for everybody on the screen. As coming down is the Avenging Hunter. Great card because it lets me go into my D&D mode where I get to talk through running through dungeons and all the different modes that this can bring with it. So
yeah, it's a really sweet one.
Talk to me about the going on an adventure. What is it? Initiative? Is
this called Initiative.
Yeah.
So we did benefit the Initiative cards because some of them were quite powerful. But we decided to keep Avenging Hunter around just because the mana value is a little higher, and and we really like this style of deck, like the Ponza Gruul mid-range style deck. And it seems to be cool. Like, it's not doing anything.
It's just a red-green ramp deck.
It's just a red-green ramp deck. It's not doing anything busted compared to what the other ones did that we had to ban, like Sneak and the black one, which escapes me for a second. And yeah, I think it's cool.
So we're seeing Dragon's Breath is going to go to the bin. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, because that's the card that was in a handbag to discard off the... okay, go. Again, the card's always a 2-for-1. It's always a 2-for-1.
Everything's a 2-for-1 in Pauper.
But do you know what's good? Against all these flyers that we're speaking about, these 2/1 flyers, a 2/3 with Reach, which only gets bigger and bigger. And the more we advance for that dungeon, the better it's going to get. So we're now going to go to the second part, which means we can... I think we're going left as we're looking on the screen. So 2+1/+1 counters are getting added to a creature. And it is going to be added to the hunter itself. So that Avenging Hunter is definitely avenging. As the second one comes down, advances us through, goes to trap, 5 damage goes to face. We attack with a big load of trampers. That's going to be enough. Affinity can't keep up. We're going to a game number 3.
Yeah, that Deglammer.
Yeah, and that was enough.
That was enough.
Does that mean that play draw is really dependent in this matchup? Being able to get that turn 1 land destruction down, which with a Deglammer is always going to hit, but like sometimes other hard removal of lands which just say destroy might not line up well against the indestructible on the other side. So it's cool to see, and we kind of saw it again in round 1 where the Ponza player was on on the play. Every time they're on the play, they're able to destroy the lands and kind of pull really far ahead. But then ended up running out of gas in one of them because obviously when you've got these powerful cascade spells, great when you cascade with your 7-drop into a 6-drop. Not so great when you cascade into a Utopia Spell.
I was going to say,
and
that's
when
not,
you're
not
behind,
a good
you're
one,
like,
yeah.
which I feel happens to me all the time online. I don't think I've hit really good off it.
It feels very Modern John 2016. It's like, what am I going to hit? Am I going to hit this Inquisitioner codes like when no one has any cards at hand? Or am I going to hit this, Colligan's Command, which actually does something?
Yeah, something that gains me a
it is a
bucket
bit of a
value.
lottery.
I'm about that. I like that. It gives a bit of excitement.
That's how Cascade should be.
Yeah, we're coming out the bad side of it in other formats at the minute, and we see how devastating it can be on a format. But this one, it's very balanced. The advantage of ramping early is late in the game, your top decks get worse.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it is you get to ramp out your powerful spells before your opponent does, and potentially try and run away with the game that way. Because in Pauper in general, I think the power level of creatures is very different to the spells. I feel spells can be extremely powerful in this with things like Counterspell, Brainstorm, but the creatures don't tend to be as powerful. So when you get a 6/5 with Trample on the battlefield, it's actually really hard to deal with.
It's very difficult to deal with. You have to use some of your best removal just to deal with it. And it's devoid as well. That is a relevant part of the text.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. We haven't pre-rehearsed. Obviously, everything we do is scripted, but pre-rehearsed it.
Of course.
Is there any cards that you would like to see printed as a common?
What, downshifted or just printed?
Downshifted.
So Gifted Aetherborn is one.
Okay.
It's the double black.
Yeah.
Mono black control.
The 2/3 of Death Touch Lifelink.
Yeah, that would be really good for any Grey Merchant Asphodel decks because that's fallen out, and I think that card.
R.I.P. Gary.
Yeah, R.I.P. Gary. R.I.P. Mono black control. What else? Flame of the Bloodhand.
What does that do?
It's the burn spell. It's a really old burn spell from, I think it was from one of the Innistrad blocks. It's a burn spell. That would be really cool for red decks. But if, like, on the spot, if there's one card I would want Gifted Aetherborn, I think that would be a cool one to have.
Cool. That's cool that you had one off the top of your head. I didn't know.
I get asked this question a lot.
Okay. Asked it a lot, and that's the same thing.
As if we have any sort of control to do that, which we don't.
You're hoping. Let me know as well, chat. Get typing in the chat. What would you like to see downgraded to common and get printed? So you can start using it in this format, which is Pauper. If there's any good spicy ones out there, I'll put them to Emma and let you know what she thinks.
Is there anything you want to see in Pauper as a new to Pauper?
Well, you got rid of Invigorate, so what else can I do to make Infect?
Dryad Militant's a good one from the chat. I do like Dryad
Path
Militant.
to Exile. What do you think about that? Too powerful?
That might be a bit too good.
I feel like that's probably really good removal. What else can I do to make Infect? I'm trying to think.
You with Infects.
It's a sickness. It's a sickness. I've got.
Well, literally, it is a sickness.
Literally. What would I want? That's a good. I'll get back to you. I'm trying to think of like an uncommon that would be done. Someone said Cling to Dust. I actually quite like the idea of Cling to Dust.
Sure, that's a cool one.
But if I had to pick, I'd make sure it's a good
Infect.
What about like? I was going to say a fetch land. Don't do that. That's what's a good uncommon that I want banned? we're chatting a little bit while the players are shuffling up. I think we've got some more mulligans. Ponza is known for mulliganing quite well, but can kind of pull ahead with the right hand, with being able to use these cascades cards that they have, or entering the dungeon, getting initiative, and that's their way of kind of getting back out of these mulligans. No blue cards here. Witch's Oven. Oh, someone said Berserk. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Give me that Berserk. Skullcrack.
Skullcrack's an interesting one. I hear that one a lot because people just hate life gain. I don't know I think it might be a little too good in Pauper. I'm not too sure.
Reckless Bushwhacker.
Well, we already have the other Bushwhacker.
That's what I mean. With that, I feel like that'd push it a bit too far if you had like 8 of those effects.
8 whack.
Tarmogoyf. R.I.P. that card being playable in any format.
Well, it is a villainous creature, so.
Maybe. Okay, I think we found the 5 we want to keep. Is the commentary team going to be the same tomorrow? It is going to be most the same. I'm here all 3 days this weekend because we've got today, Saturday, and Sunday. Because remember, we got Paupergeddon is a 2-day, kind of like a GP of past events. So everyone does well day 1, gets invited back to playing day 2. But then the commentary teams are going to be flickering back and forth, depending on how well you and Gavin and some of the others are doing. If they're doing well, they're going to be playing not in the booth. If they don't do too well, you're going to be seeing them in the booth. And hope that you're going to tune in for that, of course, all weekend long. We get to see this amazing format. And it's obviously the big one after Modern Horizons 3. So there could be some spice out there that people are bringing that we haven't seen up to this point as we get the sneaky snacker on the battlefield. Let's go.
It's a really exciting time, and it's really exciting to be part of a tabletop pauper event, like a big tabletop pauper event. You don't really get many of those to this scale, so it's really interesting to see. It's very interesting to see, you know, on first hand, just how excited people are to play with the new cards and get involved
and see
in the
format
for the first time. And, you know,
and there's not many of them. That's the thing. Like, there's not many of these big pauper events. There is the Italian Pauper League, which is kind of spreading out. You should probably rename it. It's not Italian. If you're doing it around Europe, it should be like the European Pauper League at this point. But so many people coming together. But that's a small sample size. Getting big events like this that happen now yearly, especially in this new venue that we got. And the more that we mention that there's alcohol here, more people are going to turn up. The more we mention there's food, the more going to turn up.
And next year is the 10th year anniversary as well.
I don't even know what he's going to do for that. You know, but Boose MTG, the host of this, shout out to them. Got online stores, put on loads of amazing events. One of my favorite TOs I've ever met. They are literally doing this for the players because they love this game so much. If you can support them or turn up to any of these events, I highly think you should. Like I do it. I feel like everybody can do it because once you've been here once, you are addicted to it. There's so much cool stuff on here. Things when you go to an event and you think, oh, it'd be good if I had that or had that. It's done. It's here. Like everything that a player would want is here in one location. From the price point of getting into things to the formats that you want to play to the people you want to meet.
Oh, the Ponza player just putting the thumbs up because the Affinity player
F6 in.
Yeah, basically. Just drawing all the cards.
Like you've got your engine going, turning and burning. You've got like 1,000 cards in hand. I'm going to keep drawing them. Yeah, well, I'm going to play my 2-3 and pass the turn. So here we go. It's one thing I want to add on here. Utopia Sprawl on 2 different lands. Is that something that's quite common in Pauper, or do you think you'd whack it all on one land?
It kind of depends what you're playing up against, because sometimes it's good to spread them out in case someone just blows up one of your forests and you have a very sad.
Oh yeah, like in a mirror, I'm definitely never doing it, but
I think it's smart in this case just to spread it out. There's no reason to put it all on one land here.
Also, one thing, so this is one of the decks I've bought into Ponza.
Yep.
I've gone for the snow-covered version, so all my basics are snow-covered, so I can utilize Scred.
Yep.
I haven't seen that once today. Like why have I got the offbeat deck that I found online,
or have you got the onbeat deck that no one knows about?
That's the secret Will Hall tech. That's right. Yeah. And then I somehow get infect involved. Yeah, I play a Glistener Elf and turn it sideways, get a bit more chip damage in there.
Yep.
What else we were talking about? Someone said Bloodblade Elf. No.
Young Pyromancer would be a little good, as would Lingering Souls, as much as they are cool.
How many turns are there? Well, in the game, completely depends. If you're meaning how many rounds are there, there's 7 rounds today. And then we cut to the top 8, and that's where we crown ourselves the Italian Pauper League champion, or top Pauper player, as they like to call it here. So I think that's quite a cool title to have.
Yep.
Enforcer's going to come down, of course, reduced because Affinity is a mechanic. We're going to go double blocking the Chrysalis on the other side, which has got 2 counters on it, so it is a 2/5.
Reasonable trade.
But you know, we see the what's it called, the boarding party. I always want to say like party something. You know what I mean? It just looks like they're having a great time on there.
You'd be surprised how many cards have the word called party.
And so you'd know your knowledge of card pools is extensive. It was a 4/5. It had 2+1/+1 counters on it from the 2 scions that was sacrificed earlier on.
Yeah. Because that card just has that on the text for some reason.
Why wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Look, I'm all about it.
It's Modern Horizons. What do you expect? Like,
at the minute, we're on the back foot. I'm all about the underdogs coming back and giving us great, flipping it back on its head. Because both these players are 4-0. In a 7-round tournament, they're getting really close to being able to lock in that potential, ID that they need. I think like an X and 1 might get in. I'm not great on this. Is where I need someone like, Matei, Big Z, get him in the booth. He'll be able to sort it out for us. What's going on? Does creatures still play? Did both those creatures go to the graveyard? Yeah, I think one of those creatures should still be in play, right? Because if there's only 4 power, then the 5 damage would have been dealt. We'll see if we can get that passed down to one of our judges. Thanks for pointing that out, chat. So yeah, basically the Sneaky Snacker and the Enforcer both went to the graveyard combined. They have a 5 toughness where the The
Chris's
is only a 4-5. A little bit of confusion there. It's probably coming back no matter what. And I think they just sorted it.
Yeah.
It doesn't, well, and the other one is we've also drawn a gazillion cards this turn. Maybe we've missed out on 2 damage, but then this is what we have judges for. It's always a thing in Magic the Gathering, especially in paper. Things can get missed. Luckily, sometimes we can catch it on the broadcast, but sometimes it's things go a little bit too far. And of course, it is both players' responsibility to maintain the board state going forward. And I think just by the end of it, there's only going to be about 2 damage might be missed, and that's if we wanted to attack with it or not. But you don't think this is Magic? This thing happens. Why we love live paper Magic as another Utopia Spore is being cast. Like, as I said, not the best top decks in the world from this deck, but we're tapping 5, so we must have something half decent.
So it's definitely pondering it. Oh, we're just going to get into a red zone.
Do you want to trade? Yeah, we're getting for a bit of trading action here.
Loving this foil affinity deck, by the way. Looks gorgeous.
Doesn't have the sneaky snackers in foil. I could have bought them. I actually have 4 of these in foil. I opened a lot of collector's boosters. I've got play sets of this and the familiar in foil.
It's one thing I do like. That's one thing I've noticed watching people play today is just seeing how many people just have foiled out Pauper decks and beta basics and secret lair lands, and it's just like these are clearly, the mana bases, the choices of mana bases they've decided are more expensive than the deck themselves, and that's just a testament to how much people just love playing Pauper and just play the same decks over and over.
It's kind of like the legacy format, right? Like where like everyone will invest in a deck and then they'll keep onto it. So the one from the Rumble got bolted is what chat's saying. Someone saying, I am new to this format. I've only picked this up in the last month or so. I'm very much learning as we go. That's why they put me in the booth with, amazing experts, especially like people off the commentary, the Pauper panel, to keep me on the straight and narrow.
There's 3 of us here, so it's nice to see people as well.
Yeah, that's like 45% of the panel. So we take our wins where we can get it. As we enter into the dungeon, so we found the basic, and obviously that can go end up going and play for the turn. Depends now. Do we go left or right? Do we start scrying? Do we start adding counters? Is this the point where we turn the corner and just go to face, or do we have to try and start setting up for our future turns? Love it.
There's a lot of choices you can make. Initiative is just...
It's cool.
It's
very cool.
It's very cool.
I don't know if I'd want it in Modern, but it's very cool. It's a very cool mechanic. Anytime I get to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, I'm all here for it. And I love all the little rooms. We've got the flavor text from Dungeons & Dragons as well. And, of course, that's the mechanic from the set of when they came out.
See what our affinity player is doing here. Definitely pondering on something. Can't quite see their hand.
Like we did there, pondering on something. Classic.
They don't play ponder, though.
You can't say it. So it looks like we're going to return both enforcers to hand. An artifact check is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now 7. So we can cast both of these for free. It's 8 power. Go. Technically cost us 4 mana that turn, but you take that where you can get
that's
it.
That's a good trade though. Paying 4 mana to get 8 power is pretty good.
One thing they didn't do is they weren't able to get the damage across, right? So did the dungeon, or did they attack with this, and that's how they got the dungeon with the sneak snacker? So now we've got to fight to get it back, and we can't actually do that through 8 power, 8 toughness on the other side.
You'd be surprised how much 2 mirror enforcers just stone walls.
a lot
of board states. I know it might seem obvious, but it's just like really stubborn.
Where did that come from? Okay, talk to me about this. Another Modern Horizons 3 card.
I believe this is the Colossal Dreadmaw on a living weapon.
Yeah,
it's a 6/6 with trample, but it becomes like it's literally a
Dreadmaw, but
the equipment is Colossal Dreadmaw.
And it's got the face. The art on it's really cool. It's like it's really wearing the skull of it, and it's
almost like it's been Phyrexianized. And when the Phyrexians went to Ixalan, it's like, we just want this Colossal Dreadmaw to be a Phyrexian.
Yeah, the Dread Mask is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a sweet card. Especially
in this spot as well, because I think does it also give it reach, or is it just trample?
I think it's just trample, because it's very Colossal Dreadmaw. It's just like for like Colossal
Dreadmaw.
Just
6/6 trample. Okay, cool. Did we miss the initiative trigger? It looks like chat's picked up on it. Chat doesn't miss a thing. One thing, like, even if chat's wrong, they're never wrong. Yeah. They're always right, no matter what. And we appreciate you all being here, chat. We hope you're enjoying it this weekend. We're going to try and give you the best Pauper action we possibly can. If there's any decks you want us to see, we can try and find them in the room. And if they're doing well, then we can try and get them on camera. Or just any decks in general. For tomorrow, it's a completely brand new tournament, so we can maybe get them on in the earlier turns. If anybody wants to see Poison Storm, just going to say that. If anybody in chat wants to say.
I don't think anyone's playing Poison Storm, though.
But there's got to be 700 players. Some heroes got to be in the room somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be very upset if there isn't, but I'm going to find them if they do. All right, combat. Turn everything sideways. And why are we doing this attack? It doesn't look great attacking a 4/4 into a 6-foot.
Guessing there's like a galvanic blast in hand. Oh, it makes you. I was thinking like galvanic blast as well. That's
we've now got the ability to turn at 10 life. So they basically forced to block with the crystal. We can sack 2, get that off the battlefield. We don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we don't have. I was like to say we don't actually have enough to get 8 damage across this turn, in it. And because we realized that we had no blocks there.
You gotta play around. And here comes the trampling Dreadmore.
So we let this connect. That's fine. But then we're dead on the backswing, right?
What does the opponent? What does the Ponza player have in hand? I wonder.
So we're going to scry 2. Maybe we found some way to cascade this turn and we're setting up the top of our deck.
That could work. Definitely would.
Access to 1, 2, 3, 6 mana this turn. So it would have to be a boarding party for that to have any sort of relevance. Or maybe, no, Dragon's Breath wouldn't do it. But we're just passing the turn back.
Dragon's Breath would not do it because you just...
Yeah, you got a 4/4. It's like, sure, whatever. And I think we're doing end of turn, sacrifice the Sneaker Snacker, 1 damage to face.
Have we got Galvanic Blast?
No, 2 damage. We're just going to add it back to the battlefield. Draw 3 cards, make a treasure token, return the Sneaker Snacker from the graveyard. We're going to...
Ooh, we're deglamoring.
What? Oh, okay, we're getting it on the Enforcer. We're going to sack the Enforcer in response. That's another point to the face. Sneaker Snacker's going to come back, so that's 2 more damage. And then with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artifacts on the battlefield, if we just pay 1 mana for each of them, sacrifice them all, throw them to face, this could just be locking up.
The opponent is the Affinity players figured that out.
You'd hope so.
When they're playing quickly, that's normally the indication.
The worst.
Yeah.
Do you know who's really good at what I used to love watching doing that? Was Tom Ross.
Yes.
Was so slow in calculating his play, and the second he knew he had the win, it was the fastest player you've ever watched.
When you play against any like experienced like even a pro player, like an experienced Grand Prix player or anyone on the circuit, if they play quickly, it's just like, yep, I'm just probably dead.
Okay, let's have a little look what we're going to do. Still so many cards in hand. Of course, let the hands off the camera for us so we don't see.
This is like the power of Affinity. It's just so much there's just so many ways to gain resources, whether that's through life, whether it's through card draw, whether it's wanting to bring back my mirror enforcers.
What's 5 mana here? Oh, it was just handshaking. I
think it's because of the lands.
They're just adding up the mana, but like this adds up to 6, and it's all going to go to your face. There's nothing you can do. Just a land in hand for him. So yeah, we're going to see Grixis Affinity taking down those Ponzas. You said that it's a bad matchup for Ponza, and it looks pretty one-sided in that game 1 and 3. Game 2, being on the play really did help and able to kind of, utilize the Ponza effect, which when we say Ponza, we mean land destruction effects that can deal with
Ponza's a very old school name.
So we're going to come back to the booth. Obviously, that was a very quick game. I don't know how many games are left in the round, but we had to play one of my favorite games called Ask Emma Anything, to do with Magic.
Okay.
Chat's going to ask me a load of questions. I'm going to pick a few. I'm going to throw them at you, especially because it looks like we're going to try and find a backup match as well. So we'll try and get some more Pauper action for you all. And if you're just tuning in, we're in the middle of round number 4 of 7 today, and then we're going to cut to that top 8. And then tomorrow it kicks off. That is a 2-day Grand Prix style Pauper event where we're going to be crowning a Pauper champion, which here at Paupergeddon, it is like a big horror rock monster festival. We need to get one of the playmats that have been made for this in here so we can show the playmats off. Done by RK Post, who is in attendance this weekend, one of the many artists taking part, and they all come together. They all have a good chinwag. We had a great meal last night. That photo was like an all-star of like Magic Art Hall of Fame. It was so cool to see. Right, what's chat saying? Stay hydrated. Yep, definitely stay hydrated. That's a key part.
It's very warm in Italy right now.
Not in this new building that we're in today, though. We got a little bit of aircon going on, which is pretty key.
The second you go outside, though, it's just like a heat of like a wall of humidity.
It's very humid. Well, look, me and you are British. We don't deal with weather and temperature in general.
We just don't deal with weather at all.
We like to stay inside and we need to play our card games. It's pretty cool. I'm being told that we aren't able to find a backup feature match, though, unfortunately. So you're gonna hear us talking. And remember, you're on the Pauper panel. You're part of the I'm going to say the elite group of Avengers when it comes to Pauper, where you all get together and you talk about the Pauper format and what's good and what's bad in it and how you're going to tackle it moving forward, especially with all the new different sets that get added to it. And let's utilize that chat. Let's ask us some of these hard-hitting questions, like what cards does she want to see downgraded to common and put into this format?
For Born, please, one time.
Chat's asking, can we get more aggro meta? Are you down for that?
I love aggro, so yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I love aggro. I play Bogles. Like,
I would say, yeah, you're playing Boose. You're all about that.
Bogles is like one of the decks I've on and off played in Pauper for a long time. I switched it over to Boros Synthesizer because I really like Fragrant Inspector as a card.
Yes, you do.
If people didn't know that.
And then they reprinted another one. Coincidence. They had to call it Novice Inspector, but here we are.
That's pretty good. But no, I just really like Bogles. I just like the idea of an aggro deck that uses enchantment auras. Ancestral Mask is a really messed up card.
That card is crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Especially if someone's not like completely familiar with some of the cards, and you go, Ancestral Mask counts your enchantments as well, but not just mine. And they're like, oh no, I'm in danger. I'm going to die.
Yeah. Well, you normally do when that resolves. I feel great. I'm like, what? Give me +2 for it? Oh, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. They want to get downshift to Skullcrack. Why?
I get that a lot.
Why? Why would it be so good in this format?
People hate life gain.
But what decks really do it besides Boggles? Like, what am I missing?
Bricks of Divinity. You have the name of the card is escaping me. You have the sacrifice gain X life.
Oh yeah, and you do it on the enforcers, and it's CMC.
You gain 7 life. I get it. Reckoner's Bargain. That's the one. Thank you, chat. So stuff like that. Obviously, we don't really get to control what's shifted. We just get what we're
That's why I can ask you.
Yeah.
If you had any power, I wouldn't be able to ask you these questions. You'd be like, I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
Yeah.
What about Steel Leaf Champion?
That's a rare.
I think that's the free green pip rare
it's
elf, right?
It's the free pip elf. It's like a 4/5 with trample.
It can't be blocked with CMC 2 or less.
Yeah, it's not trample. Yeah, it can't be blocked like
power 2 or less.
Power 2 or less.
Strangleroot Geist. Undying, is that an effect that we can see?
Interesting. That might be a little good.
Haste Undying, double green, 2/1. Sees a little bit of play in modern.
You just want it in York. You just want to play Yorkmoth.
Can we downgrade Yawgmoth to a common, please? Yeah,
I mean, Broodscale combo is pretty cool. That's a pretty fun sack deck.
There's a couple of good combo decks floating around as well. To be a lot of tables. I am being drawn towards them. Reckoner's Bargain. What else we got? Weather the Storm counts. Oh yeah, Weather the Storm is a pretty good life game. I should know that being playing Poison Storm. That is literally what we play 4 copies in the main.
I played Turbo Fog for a while as well, so Weather the Storm's just really good against like any
I just get a mouth, like my throat just goes, every time you say that, I'm just like, oh no, it's genuinely not in the deck for me. I'd like a good all-round discard spell like Inquisition of Kozilek.
Interesting. I mean, you got like Duress.
Yeah, but I can't hit some. But bear in mind, a lot of the thing, like against that affinity deck, like I can't hit the Snacker Great. It's going to go to the bin anyway. They're going to get it back out. Hit Familiar, nope, it's a 4-drop. Can't hit a Forcer, that's a 7-drop. Can't hit like Frogmites. I feel like even that in itself wouldn't be too overpowered in this format. Maybe in some other decks or some metas, but that's I don't mind that.
One. Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe a similar printing, maybe at like 2 mana or something like that.
Do you see many 2-mana discard spells in Pauper? Is that like a because 1 mana is great because you can go turn 1, take their answer to turn 2 threat is another way we normally do it. Turn 1 discard, turn 2 Tarmogoyf. Is it? But especially Pauper, we go tap land because it's going to be a dual land that comes to play tap.
Yep.
Then 2 mana discard, then turn 3 threat. Is that too slow?
Maybe, I don't know. It's a hard one to figure out.
What do you think of Turbo Frog at the moment?
It's not a deck I'm interested in playing just because I want to play with the new cards. I'm going to be honest with you. Once the meta stabilized a bit, it could be good because if Bogle sticks around and there's this very aggro, like if Could Alpha Red's still good and there's a very aggro mindset, it could be fine. I'm not interested in it just because I want to play with the new cards and.
Yeah,
there isn't really. I don't think there's really anything new that goes in Turbo Fog from Modern Horizons 3. Off the top of my head.
We're kind of in that like that nice honeymoon phase, right? A new set's just come out. It's very powerful. Everyone gets to brew a little bit and kind of see what happens in it. What else we got? Shaman in the pack. That might be a bit too crazy, right? But that might make it playable again. You know what I mean? Is the idea to try and make a deck that doesn't see play anymore, see more play, and with that card be enough? Can I go wide enough with my elves to then use Shaman in the pack? Then mind a lot of the good cards that make us go wide are printed in rare. So in Pauper, in Common, would we even be able to take effect of that?
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how that goes through. Either of us going to play in the UK Pauper event coming up soon. I am not.
Depending when it is.
I'm about to say, yeah, I'm not, because I don't know when it is. If I knew when it was, and potentially, but I feel like they take place up north, and I live very south in the UK.
I live in the northwest, so I could very well go to one. It's just, I need to know dates because, busy the next few months, so we'll figure it out.
You are a very busy lady. What's the most exciting card from MH3 in your opinion? I don't know if I'm going to go with Pauper. Let's go with Pauper.
I was going to assume commons. I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, Flage, the Titans of Fire Fury, because you can't play that in Pauper. That's a really good question. I really like Basking Brewscale.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's a cool card. I like how it's introduced like a new strategy to Pauper, and everyone's like, cool, here's this really fun combo deck. And there's like a few different ways you can build it, because there's some other MH3 cards that it goes really well with, like Molten Gatekeeper to like ping the opponent. I really like Basking Brewscale. It also feels like the kind of card that's just going to go, whoops, I'm going to infinite combo no matter what else you print. It just has that kind of design, if that makes sense. But I think that's my favorite one from MH3.
Someone from Argentina, shout out to Argentina.
Oh, hell yeah.
Planeswalkers in common when? We've got them in uncommon. Are there like the static ones that don't have a tick-up ability? Do you think?
We just got a common legendary, so I don't know.
What's the common legendary?
It's the Scour. It's the goblin from MH3, the Fire Blast, that discards Fire Blast. The Ember Mage.
Oh,
it's a legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down from that. Down for that. What else we got?
Common Planeswalkers feels a bit too good, because then you have to start printing removal at common to deal with Planeswalkers as well.
I don't feel like anyone would ever answer this question unless you had two Brits in the booth. Should draws be decided by who can drink the most beer?
That is a very British question.
Like, oh, it's a draw. Okay, let's get the pints lined up. Let's go.
It's like, are you still playing Magic after this draw? Because if you've got a top 8 and you need to drink, that's going to be a problem right there.
The thing is, it's hindering you in the round goes. You know what I mean? Like, you got the draw. Okay, this is your punishment. Get a little bit more drunk if you want to try and get the dub. Maybe it's just a British thing.
I think it's a very British
an excuse to drink. What about it?
I think it's a very British thing.
Why did you go 0-5 at F&M?
I was a bit intoxicated.
5 draws. It's all good. What about teaching decks?
I haven't really seen any.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So would we see some? Maybe we see them this weekend. Even I say this is where we're going to get a lot of data from this weekend. Of over 1,000 people.
It's one of Gavin Verhey's favourite cards, Mystical Teachings.
Is it?
Yeah, he's a big teachings player.
That's another person you'll see in the booth at some point over the weekend. We kicked off the show with him. Obviously, he's out there now battling amongst the players, kind of doing his VIP status. That
he looks very serious when playing as well. I don't think people realise like how just.
I didn't realise how good he was until I got to do a team event with him, and like I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to carry this guy. No, he carried me. He was so good, and seeing him play and like how he thinks for everything, you can tell that one, he plays a lot of Magic, but that's his job. Yeah. This is literally living the dream. Imagine your job being playing Magic. Yeah, any day of the week, I'll take it. What else we got, chat? I'm having a little look. Someone just pit a pineapple on a pizza randomly.
Oh, we had that conversation.
All the Italians in the room
night.
Start shivering when you say pineapple on pizza.
We had a conversation about that last night. It did not go down well.
Yeah, I'm not for it though.
I'm not for it either.
We're on their side.
Heisen was very like, "What's your thoughts on pineapple pizza?" And it's like terrible. And it's like, thank God.
Well, that's how they invite us to these things. You know, if you say that you like pineapple pizza, weirdly you get blacklisted and they don't invite you to any more of these events. It's
can't upset a fellow Pauper format panel member by having pineapple on pizza.
Is he playing this weekend? No, he's cancelled.
No, he's won a few Paupergeddons.
Okay.
Over the years.
Humble brags.
Humble brags. He was like, I want to go out on a high because I've won a few, but I also want to commentate and get involved in that, which is really cool. To step away.
Take that knowledge and
take that knowledge. And also, Heisen's just like an incredibly good player. He plays a lot of Magic online. And for him just to go, nope, I'm going to take a break and do something else is...
It's cool.
It's cool to do.
And like, I want to emphasize, being here on this side of the booth, you get the best seat in the house. Like literally, I always say, if I wasn't here commentating, I'd be here playing. If I wasn't here playing, I'd be at home watching. Like this is such a blessing being able to in. It's cool being able to get that experience of you've lived it, you've done it, you've done what all the players in the room are now trying to do where do you come in from? How would you approach this event? How would you go into it? How do you try and look at the metas moving forward? How much long's left of the round? 5 minutes? Again, we can gain. I think this means 5 minutes, so we'll go with 5. We'll go with 5 minutes here left in the round. So we've got a little bit more talking going on. So I've got a couple of questions.
I've got a question for you.
No, that's not good.
As someone who's just came into Pauper, I know you said the format's really balanced and you really enjoyed it. Is there anything else that you enjoy about Pauper? Any takeaways?
I love that there's no tier 1 deck.
Okay.
I really like that there's no deck with a huge target on its back. Like, in other formats, there's always going to be a tier 1 deck and the meta shifts so much. Bear in mind, I've only been playing it for a short amount of time, but I haven't seen a huge meta shift, so to speak. Even with Modern Horizons 3 now coming out, I'm just seeing more of that cards being tested and piloted in decks that they automatically go into. But it doesn't make a tier 1 deck. Like the Affinity, we just saw that. We saw Ponza versus Grixis Affinity. Two of the better decks in the format, arguably. But I wouldn't say one of them's better than the other. They just the matchup lines up better for one of them than the other, but it will lose to some of the other decks that the other one's good against. It's kind of the old 2014 like modern era where this deck's good against that deck but bad against that deck.
Very rock, paper, scissors, isn't it?
And I kind of like that. And it's also like the puzzle to try and solve that so you're not as bad in some of those matchups where you are against others, or just try and come out of it completely, off the cuff and bring a different deck like Poison Storm. But that's
what is it with you and infect counters?
I don't know where my love for
infect. Like I think there's 4 mono green infect players playing today.
Oh yeah, there is.
And you were
shout out.
Let's find them.
Couldn't find them because they finished the round too quickly. You see,
I think there was two or three.
We've got the Italian Pauper League happening. The finals right now. That's the one we're being broadcast to you. But also we've got a qualifier for Paupergeddon as well happening in the background. So in that one is where we've got the heroes in the room playing the mono green infect list. And that's, of course, when I saw it, I was like, let's go find it. We went to go find them. They all finished.
Yep.
Too quick. Get the deck's too powerful. Everyone make sure you buy your mono green.
Buy your Glistener Elves.
Everyone's talking about this teachings type of deck going on.
Teachings is a fun card.
Shifting towards
mid range.
Talk
to Gavin about mystical teachings.
Would he go on a rant about it?
I mean, it won't be a rant. It will be a love letter.
I'm down with a love letter. Like, when someone's passionate about something, I love just hearing their point of view and why they think things are so passionate about it. And that's going back to your thing about Paul. What's mine? Like, I'm very new into the format.
Yes.
I've told you it's very balanced. I love how there's no tier 1 deck. I love that you can pick up multiple decks. I love that there's an early pinch point in it, but I also love that it's a complicated format that you have to kind of plan 3 turns ahead of what you're doing. There's so many niche little interactions that all add up. I think Ekin Baron put it really well last weekend. Modern is kind of my opponent is kind of death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes.
So you've got to do 1,000 little micro interactions to be able to get that win over your opponent because they're trying to do the same thing to you. And I love that because when you win, you feel really big brain about it.
Yes.
And then when you lose, you're like, whoa, I just wasn't big brain enough. My opponent really knew what they were doing. It's very rare that sometimes it's just that, they've got it all. Yes. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like that format, and especially when I'm playing it, I've never gone, they just had the perfects. Even though we did the round before we did this in round 3, there was 3 Hydroblasts and a remove spot in one. Like, they basically had the perfects in one turn, but that's very niche because it was like Hydroblast, Dispel, Hydroblast, Dispel, Hydroblast, Counter Spell. Yeah, it was a 6 stack to see. And just having those powerful spells in this format, which obviously they're not printing at rare, so it gives that power level to this format that you don't see because the spells are powerful and I think the creatures are a lot weaker. And but it balances really well because you don't really win
makes good gameplay.
You can't win through spells in this format too much. Obviously, Poison Storm's very different on that, but there's no like self-mill into Fastest Oracle type stuff going on. At least not that I've seen going. So I love that aspect of it. And also, personally, I love coming to these events, right? Like, everyone is in this room for this format because they love this format and they're passionate about it. They don't get to play it too often, right? And I've said it multiple times and I will keep hammering this home that this is a tournament by the players for the players. Like, everything you want in here, it's such a chilled out environment, but also competitive at the same time, which I'm a competitive player, but I'm also not the most serious person in the world, so I love that balance of it.
When you don't have many high level, big Pauper events, there is this incentive to go, I want to win the big Pauper event. Like, I want to win Paupergeddon.
Especially this is like a yearly thing. So, you only get one shot at it per year, and just being able to have that title. So,
I'm the best Pauper
2024, player. Whatever. It's a cool title to have. Chat's asking, what's your favorite and least favorite deck currently in Pauper?
Currently, that's a good question.
Going into this weekend, obviously, by Sunday there might be some new decks that none of us
Right,
support.
this is it. Like Modern Horizons is changing. There's a lot of fun deck brewing going on right now. So Bogles is my favorite because I love playing Bogles. It's just the kind of deck that I enjoy playing, and I've played it on and off in Pauper for about 5 to 6 years now. The deck I hate, this is a really difficult one because...
Dislike. Let's go with dislike. Hate's a strong word.
Hate's a strong word.
You don't like piloting. Let's go. What one do you not like piloting? Which one do you not like playing against?
So if there was if I had to choose a deck to play that, that I didn't want to play or whatever, something like that, to be honest. Like, I'm not, like, Walls combo is not something I would play.
Oh, my word. When I first played against that, I was like, what is going on here?
Like, I respect the fact that it's, Ingenuity is a really good example of Ingenuity in Pauper. I would not play something like that. It's just way too complex for me. I get what it does. It's a really cool deck, but I would not, like, if someone gave me that deck, I would not play it.
It's good against, like, in a mono red meta.
Yeah.
You make all these walls.
It's basically the Amulet Titan of Pauper.
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
because there's just a lot of micro decisions, and you need to, like, think, like, 4 or 5 turns ahead of, like, if I do this, what happens? You have to.
So that's what you don't want to play. What do you not want to play against? What's the deck that you always sit across from? You're like, oh no, I'm against it. My example, me in Modern is Tron, right? Like, I don't want to play against Tron.
So you don't like Turbo Fog in Pauper, so that's
no,
yours.
I do not. That literally was. That was close to probably one of the worst matchups I ever. I was like, I don't like this. This is not fun for me.
Yeah.
No, don't say Poison Storm. Poison Storm's great. Everyone knows that. You wait. You guys will be laughing when it takes down Paupergeddon 2024.
Will's gonna be like doing victory laps in this room.
Oh my
if
word!
That happens.
Look, I'm good at calling this. Like, I could put on I picked up on Jake Beardsley before the Pro Tour happened, and he ended up winning the Pro Tour. So
that's true.
Maybe I'm here. Maybe the Poison Storm's what it's going to be. Maybe no one's ever heard of Poison Storm until I keep rattling on about it like a broken record. Till chat starts turning against me and says, "Stop talking about that stupid deck," which you should all check out and play because it's a lot of fun. Very different interactions in there. Most.
Yeah, it's
not
very,
for me.
It's very. I just want to write F6 and just give it to my opponent and just go and get a
Lucky
drink.
for you, RK Post in the room has an F6 token that you can go and pick up. He's a very smart man. He's awesome. I love RK. What is the most difficult deck to pilot in Pauper in your opinion?
Probably Wolves combo.
That's not Poison Storm, is it? I'm joking. Okay, do you think, why walls? Because it's got so many. Every single wall does a different interaction, and they all add up.
There's so many different ways to get the win, and you need to really sequence how you play those cards. It's very similar to Amulet Titan, where you kind of need to think of what you need to do beforehand, because if you do one slightly thing wrong, it can just not be great. Walls combo is difficult, but not everyone's going to play it because it's really different for people to play. So that would be my one, I think.
All right, chat asking the match just starts. We're coming to the end of round 4 at the minute. We could just go off air and we could have that We'll Be Right Back slide for you all at home, but that could be on and you wouldn't know when that's in. So we thought we're going to fill this dead time. We've got access to literally one of the Pauper panelists here. Let's use that to our advantage. Just ask her a load of questions. Let's ask us those tough questions you don't always get to ask Emma, and say it in chat, and I'll do the hard questions and ask and try and make it. But I'm going to pick the good ones. I don't even know this was a deck. Flickertron, is that even a thing? Or is someone just telling me?
No, it's a deck. Yeah.
Everyone's like looking at me.
You can tell by the thumbs up here. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, but it's got. Does it play Tron lands? Does it play the Urza's lands?
Yes.
Let's end that conversation. Let's not talk about that deck anymore.
It's in the name, Will.
Stupid deck. Yeah, no, but I was just maybe it's something else. I don't know.
It's like a combo control deck.
No one wants to play that. That sounds like my worst nightmare.
It's not like the classic Tron.
What's the big payoff?
There's not a big payoff.
You're just doing it to accelerate your mana early.
It's a control deck.
It's still not enough.
So when you're done with this round, look up the card Stonehorde Dignitary.
Stonehorde Dignitary. Okay, we'll go find some copies of it and we'll have a look.
I do not like that card as a Vogels player. Just.
Has it got some sort of sacrifice effect?
No.
Event damage effect?
No.
Life gain effect?
No. You'll find out.
Can't lose the game effect?
No.
No. I feel like that'd be way too powerful in Pauper anyway. It's Lanternless Lantern.
It's a good way of putting it.
That's a terrible experience to play against as well. So basically, they're making 1,000 game interactions and you're doing nothing, just watching them.
And you can't do anything.
They're manipulating your deck and hand. Okay, cool. Thank you, chat. Thanks. Yeah,
They do a really good job of making you not have a combat step.
That sounds. It's that white wall thing that flickers, is it? Yeah, I played against that. That's miserable, and you're a bad person for liking that deck. Like,
Don't talk to Heisen like that.
That is yeah. Okay.
Like
Say it one more time.
Did you like it?
No, I hated it. I played against it. If I ever played it, I feel like it would be a good experience. But like playing against it, I was just like banging my. Because also I didn't know what was going on because I'm learning the format. And I was like, "Whoa, this is."
It's a learning experience, isn't it? Well,
you only go against it once. It's like you only ever make the misplay once, right? And then you learn from it. I learned I never want to play that deck by playing against it.
One of the copy of Stormford Dignitary were played in Yorion deck in Modern.
yeah.
That's why that
Really?
deck's banned. It's gone. We're talking about then.
How long?
Oh, it's the KCI of Pauper.
Oh God!
Everyone's really selling this deck to me right now. It sounds great. Yeah.
You just play Poison Storm. It's fine. You don't need a combat step.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't. Exactly. I do not need a combat step, and I'm all about that. Ultratron is the no, I'm not about that.
There's a lot of flavors of Tron, I'm afraid.
I think the round is coming to a close. Let me just have a little look. What they're saying to me. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like they've already picked the matchup for the next round, which tells me that me and you need to get out of here.
And you can go and talk about Poison Storm to
Someone else. Try and convince someone to back. I'll go like, I'll get you a round 1 feature match tomorrow. All you need to do is play this deck that I'm rattling on about. But we are going to come to close. This is round 4. Remember, 7 rounds total today. Or round 5, sorry, we're in, aren't we? No. 7 rounds total, and then we cut to that top 8. So we've got at least 5 more rounds of Pauper action for all you beautiful people at home. So make sure you stick around and don't go anywhere. And we'll see you shortly.